Hi Cancer, this is your reading for July. Happy birthday. So we're going to take a look at the general energies for the Sun, Moon and Ascendant sign of Cancer. So please set aside any distractions. Don't multitask while you're listening to this reading. You may also want to put headphones in so you can really focus and bring all of your attention to the reading so you're not wasting your time here. While I'm shuffling, please check in with your higher self. Focus on your breathing for a few moments and really tune in. Ask your higher self to connect to me and to pass on any messages that you need to hear at this time. Let's set up a feedback loop so that you can get messages that are tailored for you. Wow. All of the cards except for one are in the upright position. There's a few major arcana cards here. Wow, really, really, really beautiful cards for you this month. At the bottom of the deck we have the Six of Cups. The foundation is the Eight of Cups. The heart of the reading is King of Cups. There's also the Seven of Cups here. So there's a lot of Cups energy. There's also the Moon, which is your own card. This card is in the position of the recent past. This is the energy you're coming into the reading with. So give me a second to tune in here. We'll see what's going on and I'll start talking in a second. There's two Kings both upright in your reading. I feel that what's being spoken of here, first impressions, is that for a lot of you, I think you're coming into the second half of the year after kind of having dealt with some emotional struggle is what I'm hearing. So I think the first half of the year for a lot of people in the Cancerian group are dealing with a lot of emotional, I'm hearing dissonance, but perhaps during the first part of the year you may have like experienced certain, how do I say that? I'm seeing like a reveal energy, like things being revealed to you about yourself through experiences with other people that may have been difficult or stressful or very emotional. But it's through those difficult interactions with people that you've been able to see things about yourself that you may not have understood before, that there's been some revelation and illumination of parts of you that may have been until this time obscured from yourself. And so in this process, however it may have been difficult or otherwise, just a second, sorry about the noise there. Although it may have been challenging and difficult for some of you, I feel that coming into the second half of this year, you may be able to actually really understand the value and the benefit of that difficult time, even if it was turmoil or tumultuous or painful, that you are already aware in your daily life, but also in your unconscious, you understand, you've already understood how beneficial that time period has been. Because what I'm seeing here is, as I said, there's a lot of upright cards. There's a lot of emotionally contented cards, like Nine of Cups, Ace of Cups, both upright, are telling me that you're in a time now where you're feeling more confident about yourself. You're feeling a sense of understanding, a sense of satisfaction. And there's also a trusting energy here in these cards. Like a feeling, there's a feeling here of kind of having been to battle and been like kind of put under a lot of pressure and feeling like you've been tested and you've been kind of under a kind of emotional strain, and in particular through your relationships. But maybe for some of you, if you haven't been in a relationship through this year, like if you haven't been in a sort of one-on-one partnership, just your own I guess your own process of emotional understanding has been able to reveal to you certain things that you are now starting to understand. And with in this quadrant here, these two cards here describe how you see yourself at this time. So we have here the Nine of Wands reversed with the Seven of Cups in reverse. This is telling me that at the moment, where you are right now is kind of in a space where you have understood how emotionally tenacious you are That's one thing. And there's also this energy here around a kind of breakthrough of any like disillusionment or uncertainty that you may have had. It's like, again, it's this energy of revelation, of revealing, of kind of coming through what was once obscured and illuminating information in a way that lets you see without it, beyond a shadow of a doubt, beyond any kind of delusion, exactly what's there. And that's where you are right now, is in this space of having come through a difficult time, of coming through a time of emotional uncertainty and emotional challenge, to come to this space where you, first of all, understand how strong you are and how resilient you are. And you also see yourself with a greater clarity and a greater truth than you may have ever in your whole life until now. So Ace of Cups at the heart of the reading is telling me again that, I mean, look at this, all this cup energy is so beneficial and so uplifting. There is this sense of emotional clarity, of emotional maturity, emotional intelligence, with the King of Cups being at the heart of the reading. And then with this Ace of Cups at the foundation of the reading, it's telling me that even though the first half of the year may have been very difficult, there's this feeling here of like a real willingness or an emotional, for want of a better word, positivity that kind of doesn't really quite encapsulate the feeling that I'm getting from the card here in this position. But there's this overwhelming feeling here of being really available to love, to light. There's a feeling of opening up to more unconditional love, and with that comes a sensation of abundance and prosperity and creativity. So this is kind of where I feel like it's a springboarding sensation of like an accelerated growth path that's opening up before you in light of a difficult cycle that you've come through now, with a greater understanding of who you are and a greater understanding of the potential that's in front of you as a result of the work that you've put in over this time period to reveal with authenticity exactly where you are right now. So where do I go next? I wanted to go here to this Six of Wands. Like these two cards for me both are the most like clear and profound cards in the deck that explain self-confidence, self-love, and like in general, like a sensation of wholeness and clarity and like security, like the opposite of insecurity, right? So these two cards both coming out in your reading at the top of the spread it's really strong, it's really powerful, and it's really indicative of just how much effort and work you've put in over this last time period to overcome your own insecurities, to overcome your I'm hearing games. Like if you've been a type of person who may have been in the kind of tendency to like play games in a way that, you know, you might express your insecurities in a way that kind of projects them onto other people in a way that's a little bit emotionally manipulative or a little bit drama filled. This is telling me that you've come through this time period in a way to understand that maybe that's what you have been doing unconsciously, and now there's a willingness here to overcome any kind of like desire to project your insecurities on other people in a way that creates drama. This is a really clear energy of overcoming. It doesn't mean you've gotten rid of all of your insecurities, but it means there's an awareness of what those things are in a way that prevents you from having troublesome relationships with people where other people have to kind of take responsibility for your insecurities. I hope that makes sense. So I'm really happy to see both of these cards come out in your spread. It really shows me that you really have put in a lot of work through this year, and you have come through with a greater understanding of just exactly what your unconscious patterns of behavior have been and how they've been affecting your relationships. In this quadrant, we have the Hanged Man with the Empress. I really like these two cards together. These cards are describing the energy in your environment, but the way I'm seeing this is that I feel that for a lot of you, you've been, as I said, I mean, for me, I feel like this time of year, now coming into the second part of 2019, feels like a real turning point. And so I'm using this kind of as a marker here to say that I feel that maybe for a lot of you, the first half of the year has been very deep in the unconscious mind. You've been really uncovering buried treasure, and you may be reaping the rewards of that work now. But the way I'm seeing the Hangman and the Empress is that you've really put in a lot of effort and time to work on your health and wellness. That's how I'm seeing the Empress here, is that she's representing your health and well-being, and a type of fruitfulness of, like, the rewards of that time period are what I'm seeing with the Empress upright here. It's like you have come to a place of greater wholeness, greater well-being, greater understanding, greater creativity, as well as coming with the Empress and the Ace of Cups here. And the Hangman is showing me that while that time period might have been difficult, but you actually, with authenticity and a genuine desire to learn about the self, you actually submitted yourself to that process, and you didn't try to run away from it. You didn't try to avoid what you saw. You didn't try to, turn away from anything that was revealed, but you actually willingly, with your strength and courage and determination, surrendered to all those things that your psyche was revealing to you through the 3D world, and you took all that energy and worked with it and looked at it from a different perspective and strove to understand those things. And as a result, now you're coming out in a state of greater well-being and wholeness and a greater health and fertility. I'm very happy about these cards. I love this whole spread. I'm really enjoying this reading. So in the position of hopes and fears, as I mentioned already, you have the Six of Wands here. It's paired with the Death in reverse. So how I'm seeing this, and with the other outcome cards here, Nine of Cups and Seven of Pentacles. So these four cards here are all telling me that, again, you invested time and energy into your own healing process, and in that process, you were willing to look at things that were uncomfortable, that were painful, that maybe made you feel maybe ashamed or embarrassed, or any kind of emotion that might have come up through things that you saw about yourself, through the dynamics of relationships or experiences or situations with people that really had a catalyzing effect in a way of showing you your true self, or the things that you've been expressing in the world, right? And Death here paired with the Six of Wands is telling me now that you are coming through this time of having really dug deep and worked hard and been honest and really listened to the universe and all the things it was showing you. And as a result of that, you're able to kind of transform and transmute energy and alchemize your situation and your life to really release and purge things that are actually outside of what is real for you now. And that's what the Death is representing. There's this opening to a new energy, new light coming in, where in the places where you've been able to kind of expose and reveal the things that are used to work, that were necessary at one time, but that at this current frequency that you're operating in are not working. So you're able to kind of purge and slice those things away and remove them in order to reveal this energy I'm seeing here with this central axis of like unconditional love, emotional wellness, and motivation, willpower, and determination to kind of be the best you that you can be. Okay? That feels like it mostly for this first part of the spread. Let's have a look at the bottom of the deck. Six of Cups with the Sun reversed, Four of Cups reversed, Eight of Swords reversed, and the Wheel of Fortune reversed. I'm going to take that too. So how I'm seeing this is that there is this energy here around like how do I say that? Like the way your memory is operating of having kind of been through this process now, it's like you can see through the lens of the place where you're at now. If you look back to the past, you can understand how certain dynamics with certain people were the way they were, right? There's something here about like sorry, I'm struggling to find the right word. It's about memory. There's something here about memory, about nostalgia, about looking back in the past, and understanding with clarity now, you have the moon and the sun you're reading, about how certain kinds of polarizations and dynamics with people, why they were the way they were. And now with this clarity, having come through this cycle with greater wisdom and understanding and compassion for the self as well. That's what I meant to say earlier with like all that stuff that came up. It's like you may have felt shame, or you may have felt like any kind of spectrum of emotion, but in that raw and real willingness to look at those things with a type of like unconditional willingness to kind of just really witness your own stuff, coming through that with compassion and understanding, that's how you purge those things and really break the cycle of unconscious patterns that continue. And so here it's showing that there is like a willingness to really create your own freedom by accepting how things were, but understanding that you have the power to change them, and that the direction that you move forward with from here is up to you and how you want to approach situations and people. Are you willing to drop your identification with the person that you once were? I think that you are, because you already see how much more freedom you have as a result of the work you've put in to illuminate and reveal those things from the unconscious mind that were kind of playing out. And now you've got awareness of those things, and as a result you are able to kind of co-create your reality with a lot more power, with a lot more wisdom, with a lot more love and creativity. So it's really beautiful energy here. I love this spread. I kind of don't want this reading to end, but I feel like that's it for the general spread. I'm just going to check over, make sure I haven't missed anything. I think what's important here as well with these outcome cards is to understand like this work is ongoing. You've come through a big cycle now where there's been a lot of revelation and a lot of understanding and a lot of purging and clearance. Doesn't mean you're finished, right? This is one cycle. There's going to be more cycles within cycles and on and on. So this is what it's saying. I feel like with the Empress and the Hanged Man, the Nine of Cups and the Seven of Pentacles, this diagonal axis here is saying to me, just understand that like the work, you've arrived at a place now where there's a lot more clarity and understanding and love. Just keep going, keep investing in yourself, because you can see the value in it, right? Like when you have these moments now, I think this has been a very profound cycle for a lot of you, where you really have been able to see how, you know, if you really face the truth, if you really face those uncomfortable things, if you face those fears and those whatever experiences came up for you over the year, if you really honestly and genuinely and without any contrived energy, but with authentic, genuine determination, look at those things and like uncover compassion and understanding for the self, and shine light on those places where there's been obscured or hidden information, you can really transform your life, and it gets easier. It gets easier to be able to process those kind of things, and it gets easier to be able to, you know, when you come upon those places where there's a challenging energy or there's some kind of friction, especially when there's with another person. I think this experience has been able to show you how beneficial it is to be really honest, to be really willing to look at yourself, and it's through those difficult experiences that you actually get forced to do it. And perhaps now, having come through this cycle, you might find that it's a little bit more you might find it a little bit easier to actually approach the work of self-realization and change and transformation with a lot more willingness to the process, where you don't necessarily have to get to those points where there's a lot of dynamic tension and friction with somebody before you actually look at things. I hope that's making sense. I'm going to take the Voyager deck now and shuffle again. We're going to give your higher octave reading. So once again, tune in with me, check in with your higher self. Focus on your breathing. Send your energy over into the deck so I can get really clear messages for you. And we're going to take a look at the higher octave of this reading to give a little bit more insight into what karmic and spiritual energies are playing out, and what opportunities we have at this time, and how we can best work with those energies to make the most of the situation that we're in currently. Nine of Worlds at the bottom of the deck. So another 9 now. You had 2 9s in this reading. There's the Wheel of Fortune at the heart coming out upright. You had it here in the extended cards. 5 of Wands. The Hanged Man again. Now you have time space at the foundation. Number 20, there's the Hermit. Major arcanas here. Empress again. The Hierophant, wow. Child of Cups. Sage of Worlds. The Universe, which is the world from the Rider-Waite deck. Three of Worlds. Eight of Crystals. Three of Cups reversed. And Five of Worlds reversed. So 2 5s on your reading. Again, a lot of mostly upright cards. A lot of major arcana energy. Again, this is kind of telling me that this is a very significant time for you. That you are at quite a major turning point. I'm hearing crossing over. For some of you, this is a huge transitional moment in life where you are really transforming. I'm getting the sensation of inside out. So there's things that you are learning about yourself that have been obscured for a long time, and there's a big reveal. So revelation energy, definitely with the time space card. This is the judgment from other decks. This being in the foundation of the reading is telling me that this is a real turning point. Like, it's a massive energy that I'm feeling from both spreads. Like really big transitional energy from one mode of being to a completely new way of operating through life in a much more like really whole and clear, grounded space of understanding, of clarity, of wisdom, of love. I feel like there's a big shift here away from, there's like this kind of immaturity into a real mature space. So there's a real movement into and for some of you, this is a really complete makeover. I think some of you may have had this experience in this last few months of this year, where you got to see maybe a lot of parts of your behavior that were really immature and really petty and maybe childish. So I'm feeling from these cards here. And through an experience where you may have had a very difficult closure or ending with someone, or some kind of very like, I just feel friction. There's this energy of friction, like rubbing up against something or someone in a way that's really uncomfortable, that's really painful. And maybe for some of you there was loss or separation, the Hermit here in the position of the past. So for some of you, there's that kind of energy where you may have really kind of maybe hit rock bottom even, or had some very disappointing experience that really forced you to look at the way you do things, that maybe forced you to look at the way you think, feel, speak, operate through life in a very broad sense. But there's this energy here of analysis with the Hermit as well, like analyzing and like combing through the details to really get to the point of like, oh, like a type of understanding that can only come through like a real dedicated practice of striving to understand and see. So the change here is massive. You have Judgment and the Universe, so 19 and 20. You have the Hangman, the Hermit, the Fortune, the Empress, the Hierophant. So all really major, heavy-hitting, major arcana cards, indicating like massive transformation, huge healing, real growth and change. You have the Hierophant, which is number 5, with the 5 of Worlds, and the 5 of Wands is the crossing card. So, and there's also I thought I saw Temperance. No. Hangman is the crowning card of your reading in this spread. So this is saying that, again, there's been a lot of sacrifice. But I'm seeing this in a very beneficial way for your growth. Like it's like what you've sacrificed is the things that you don't need, actually. There have been things that you've been letting go of that have actually been keeping you from having the best quality life that you can. And I think this is showing me that you've understood that, and that you know what I'm talking about. Those things are the things that you're leaving behind, and you're moving forward here into a space of greater creativity, greater love, greater wholeness, greater understanding, greater compassion, greater prosperity. And the future that's ahead of you looks very, very bright. There's a lot of understanding here with the Sage of Worlds and the 8 of Crystals. This is talking about a synthesis of information and a type of mastery that comes through experience, that the type of understanding you can only get by having walked through the fire, right? And Fortune at the heart of the reading, crossed by the 5 of Wands. This is telling me that you're overcoming your own inner conflict about maybe the truth of who you are. Perhaps you've been partially unconsciously avoiding knowing your true self because of the responsibility that may bring. That's also the Hangman. There's a kind of surface-oriented path that you may be stepping forward into now for some of you. Some of you may actually be walking forward from this point on into like a healing path, like an actual vocation in the healing arts of some kind, whether it's, you know, psychotherapy or hands-on healing or some other type of like dedication to a path of service for others. That could be what some of this is for some of you. But in general, it's just like an understanding that your higher calling is really, really wanting to get your attention right now. And maybe that's part of what you went through this year, was understanding that maybe the way you've been operating has been preventing you from actually really stepping into your true power in a way that kind of brings you in a real undeniable integration with the path that you are here to pursue and fulfill. So these outcome cards are like this. Again, you have 21, which is the universe, also called the world in other decks. You have the Three of Worlds and the Empress, which is number 3. So this collection of cards here, this threes, there's also Three of Cups here. So the 3 energy, it's very creative, it's very fertile. I'm going to hold them up so you can see. So the 3 from the number 21, number 3 universe, I really like how it's feeling here with this Three of Worlds. In this deck, it's called nurturing. I really feel for some of you, there's this point here where you are actually really starting to feel like your true calling in a way that brings you into this place of service, which actually creates such a great feeling of genuine happiness, to actually be generous and giving and in service to others who are in need. It really helps you to overcome some of your own maybe sadness or depression even. But I'm feeling that for a lot of people that may be watching this reading, there's this energy here of moving into a path of service and a greater understanding of your capacity of what you're here to share and to express. Has a lot to do with like very earthly energies of compassion, kindness, nurturing. Okay? Let's have a look at the bottom of the deck. 9 of Worlds, 9 of Crystals. So more 9s. 2 of Crystals and Fool, all upright. I like this. This again is telling me that you have understood a lot. Like seeing 2 9s here, and you had 2 9s in the previous reading as well. There's definitely this feeling of kind of full circle. There's also the Hermit, which is number 9. So there's this energy here of like culminating a cycle of coming into wholeness, coming into an integration point, coming to a space of independence. Maybe that's for some of you what we were talking about prior has been about like understanding where you have dependencies, whether on people or on things. And this is an energy of independence coupled with interdependence. So there's an understanding of yourself as a unique entity of its own thing, but then also the way that you are designed to operate and integrate with communities or with families or with other people to kind of share resources. So rather than it being about tapping each other with dependency, there's a level of an upgrade of an exponentiation of sharing, of generosity, of interdependence, where people's resources can combine to create something much greater. And then with the Fool here and the two of Crystals, I feel this energy is describing how you have kind of come to a place of balance and wholeness and understanding within you in a way to actually be able to generate a new cycle, but one which is I mean, look, you've got number 20, 21 from the Major Arcana. That's the last 2 cards from the Major Arcana, moving to the 0, which is the first card. So there's definitely a big energy of culmination, of understanding, of closure, of a completion of a cycle, moving into a new beginning, but one which is much more heightened. Like the energy you're coming into this new cycle with it's like you've shed a lot. You've really shed a lot. You've let go of a lot of stuff, and you're coming into a space of greater authority, greater wisdom, greater compassion. I've said these things, so I don't want to repeat, but I do feel there is a lot of energy of fertility here. And seeing this card here with the Empress, like some of you may actually be finding out that you're pregnant around this time. Obviously that's not for everyone, but there's definitely an energy here of fertility and possibly of pregnancy. Let me just check over here. I feel like that is it for the reading. It's at the top here. Yeah, 6 of Crystals. So again, it's like integration, clarity, understanding, acceptance, and moving forward here with like a much lighter spirit. Like you've really let a lot of things go and are ready to move into the next cycle of your life. This is very much a turning point, and moving forward from here, I feel a greater empowerment and a greater sense of wholeness and understanding and self-acceptance as well. So really beautiful. So I feel that that's it for your reading, Cancer. Just checking over here to make sure I've covered everything. Again, with all this major arcana card energy and all upright except for the Empress, there is a really beneficial energy of like this feeling of you having come through a really, really powerful time of like being very tested and very challenged in your life to rise up to the occasion. And I feel like you've done that with flying colors. There's a lot of energy being expressed here, which is explaining that you have been under a severe initiation process and that you're coming through with a lot of like a sense of reward, but that reward is coming from within because you understand that you actually have achieved what was available for you in that difficult time. It's not about someone else patting you on the back saying good job. It's like you know that you've been able to understand a lot about yourself in the process that you've been through. And you're seeing that with your raw honesty and authenticity and with a determination to understand what was available to you, that you're actually able to move forward from here, having shed a lot of baggage and understood a lot about the self. And moving forward from here, there's so much possibility and potential waiting for you. So step into it with a sense of grace and contentedness and fulfillment and wholeness, and you can pretty much do whatever you want to from here as far as like how you want to express yourself and how you want to share the gifts that you have received from your experience, and how to show and share how much you've grown through this time period. Okay, Cancer. Thanks so much for watching. It's an honor and a pleasure to read for you. Please subscribe if you haven't yet. If you're new here, there's going to be playlists on your screen now from previous readings of months gone by. So make sure and spend a little time and check out some of those so you can understand what we're about here on this channel. And yeah, see you in the next reading.